What's up, guys? It's Epiphanies here, rousing the haters and finding myself in a state of approval. I'm going to try to make this a quick one, and I apologize if, my voice is a little messed up, and my roommate is snoring. It is very late at night at this point, and I'm actually a little under the weather, but I saw something on Hulu, or I should say I was sponge watching something on Hulu. So that is, someone was watching one show, and I happened to be in the room to witness an event within the show, and it was a pretty big happenstance. So let's get into it. A secondary disclaimer I have to make is, the popping you might hear. I'll try not to speak too close to my USB microphone, but it doesn't have any volume control. This is kind of a really super cheapy ghetto one, so I apologize for that also. But let's actually get into it proper. The show is called Black Sails, and I don't know, it was made a while ago. It's had several seasons. I would say almost as many seasons as Game of Thrones up to this point. And I think it followed Spartacus, so they were looking for the next sort of period piece cash cow, and they picked pirates to do it. Now, the episode that I saw, or I sponge watched once again, was the season 1, episode 3. So, I guess I came home from work, and I came in the middle of this scenario where, holy crap, this woman's getting raped, right? Everybody's all gathered around, like, it was a little weird. It was just like, they're just standing there. Why? So then, this blonde thought comes out of nowhere and hits the guy with a stick, and then basically says you're cut off, and I think and then sort of threatens everybody in the immediate area, and says that if you help this guy out, or if you trade with him, then you're also cut off. So I was a little confused at what I saw because of the elements and the period, and I'll get into that in a second. However, what I found to be most confusing was who she was and how she was talking to these band of murderous pirates. So I'm looking at the elements, and I'm like, okay, so unfortunately, whoever this woman is, a bunch of insane, like, rummed up, lusty, like, psychotic pirates got a hold of her. That's walking into the lion's den. And what confused me secondarily, the second thing that confused me most about it was, I was like, okay, who is this woman? How is she able to talk to all of these pirates without one person coming out and just backhanding her and saying, yeah, so what, this woman's getting raped, what's it to you? And once again, this is the insidious genius about having a scene like that. You can't even discuss it. Just me saying what I just said will raise an eyebrow to anybody who's listening. You'll think in the back and the corners of your indoctrinated mind, and you'll go, sounds like this guy's okay with rape. Sounds like he's got a problem with someone saving someone from being raped. Which is not the case, of course. Which is me saying that I'm trying to understand the dynamic given the period that we have at hand. At what point, where this is basically back in the centuries that most people today would look back and say, at all, like, the worst times for a woman to have, liberty, autonomy, and the ability to do anything, this would be one of the worst centuries. So not only do we have that time period, but we have a woman doing something extremely uncharacteristic, not only when it comes to vocation and employment, but also in how she would be able to talk to a man with literally no repercussions. So I tried to gain a little bit more knowledge about the character. So I tried to Google to see if the character was a real person. I didn't get any paper trail on that. I think I was led to a Wikipedia page or a wiki page for Black Sails, but I really couldn't seem to glean any immediate information that said whether she was a real person or not, and whether she held that vocation or not. there was this irritating hokey Maroke interview with the actress in question. I don't even remember her name. It's really not relevant past just lightly touching on it for the benefits of this breakdown and this analysis of this podcast. But it was just atypical of SJWism. You have this guy going, what's it like playing a character that's so strong? And then, of course, she responds with this smile. It's like, it's really great being, like, this sort of ball buster, that really gives it to people. And I think to myself, once again, people are completely misrepresenting what makes a strong character. A strong character stands up for what is right, or what they believe in, most importantly. Because it doesn't always have to be right. It just has to be something that they believe in, or it has to be a line in the sand that they don't allow anybody else to cross. And they're willing to suffer consequence. Whatever the consequences are, they're like, listen, I'm all chips in on this, my standpoint on this issue. You want to try to bring the thunder to me, you know what? I'm going to bring some right back. That's a tough character. A character that gets to hide behind, frailty and femininity, who will tout that they're tough, talk crap to someone who's like 3 feet taller than them, and then put their hands on them, and then say, oh, if you touch me, you're nothing but a worthless woman beater. Basically, once again, hiding behind something, being able to talk crap and say what you want with no repercussions, or the situation or life not involving you or troubling you, to bolster your principles or to prove yourself. You're not a tough character. You're a spineless piece of crap. That's just what that is. A side note, or I should say an anecdote, that leads to this, that I experienced a long time ago on a different show called Chuck. I'm pretty sure you can find this. It was basically I forget what it was called, but it was kind of like a Best Buys. It was like that universe's version of a Best Buy. And they had some type of celebrities there, some big jock football players, and they were trying to get them to go back to work or something. So the nerdy guys that run everything were kind of like, hey, can you? And they were just like, shut up, nerd, get out of our face. And then this 5'0" Asian girl grabs some type of camera tripod, talks some crap to this big, massive football, like ex-football player. And then when it looks like he's about to take action, they cue the rock music, and she picks up this tripod, swings it around like a bow staff, and then knocks him out with it. When I'm pretty sure if the guy was an ex-football player, like, if I'm getting that wrong, and you saw the episode, and in fact he was like a ex-basketball player, either way, what I'm saying is, if he was an ex-athlete or an ex-football player specifically, I think he would be able to take a shot from a small Asian girl, even like if she wielded the tripod, however skillfully. If he's taking blows to the head, I'm pretty sure he'd be able to take it, and then it would just make him more pissed. That's usually the sum total of anybody who gets into a fight with someone who's like a foot or a foot and a half taller than them. They give that person their best shot, and then it's like, holy crap, this guy is about to destroy me. He definitely didn't go down with one swing, which of course, because this is fictional cinema, it happened. And because she's a cute little Asian girl, and she's the hero of the little story, and she's protecting her neutered, cuckified boyfriend, then of course she's going to win this impossible, be able to do this impossible feat and beat this ex-athlete who's still, by ratio, in his prime. That's the end of my anecdote. Moving on. In closing, what really just completely shatters any suspension of disbelief in that scene, even though I hadn't seen the movie. Now, I can half watch shows, I can half watch movies, and I can immerse myself into any given point. Like, if the dialogue is real and the situation looks like, okay, I could see this happening, I could come in on the middle of a film or show, and I could still immerse myself in it and kind of get a good idea of what was going on. But here I was just completely confused because the elements of this scenario were, parts of them were atypical and other parts were nonsensical. The atypical part is, yes, I believe a bunch of disgusting, low-life, black-hearted, murderous pirates would rape a woman. That's not what's, shattering my disbelief. This beautiful blonde thought coming out of nowhere, hitting a guy with a stick and then, waving her proverbial dick around and telling him, oh, you better stop raping women. It's like, that's the one thing that would never happen. Why? Because on the other end, if this woman really existed and she had to deal with a bunch of crazed murderous pirates that literally lived a lifestyle where for the most part they did what they want when they felt they needed or wanted to, right? That means she is a business person, not a woman, not a man. They are a business person, and a business person doing business with ne'er-do-well figures has to think about their bottom line. Now, if this was an important woman who is like a foreign dignitary, and then it's like, whoa, do you understand that this person and the government that they represent, she's a princess, they're going to be down on us. You've brought so much heat that would what in actuality would piss somebody like that off, and then say you're cut off for however long, until the heat's off, or this, that, or the other, or you're just banished from the island. No one's going to talk to you because, you brought so much heat down. But a pirate raping a woman and then it having all of this anger and indignation does not make sense for the freaking time period. That's what infuriated me the most about this display. Once again, it was needless insertion of current political eye intruding on a period piece, and it's all to installate one or two characters who are female above all of the other male characters to once again insulate them for one part, but to establish them as infallible moral paragons. They can literally do anything. They could outright murder or rape somebody, and it will be fine, given the narrative of the show, because of how these characters are now established and insulated from any moral repercussions. By that I mean, once again, they're infallible now. They're Mass Effect's Shepard, with the settings stuck on Paragon no matter how many times you hit the Renegade decision. So there you go. That's my little breakdown of that scene, and I can't stand these shows on Hulu. Everything's about rape in these shows. Every time they want to give this character a magic pass, have the character get raped or intimate rape. Now everything that they do now the character is untouchable. Now all of the characters have to involve their entire universe feeling sorry and sad for this character, and there's no more character development that happens as a result. And every character, especially male characters, walk around with this neutered countenance where they're literally sorry for being men. And once again, anybody who would I encourage everybody to leave a comment, but anybody who would leave a comment and say that I'm talking out of my ass or I'm just crazy, every time I give myself that pause and go, maybe I don't have that quite right. Maybe I went a little too far. I give it a straight week, a month at the very longest, and someone makes a YouTube video talking about the exact same subject with the exact same eye and spin that I put on it, only they say it's so much better, and bam, I'm vindicated. This used to happen to me all the time when I was, still living with my parents, where I would witness a female character doing something completely outright abusive and deplorable to a male character, and there was always this thing that there was this rush to try to suppress me and to keep me quiet, to say that I wasn't seeing what I was seeing, or somehow there was this psychotic argument saying that the character could do this and it was okay because of he should have done this, as a man, or as a man he shouldn't have done that. A quick reference is Thor, the second Thor movie, where Natalie Portman's character, Jane Foster, slaps Thor. And I was like, who is she, a mortal, slapping the god of thunder, subordinating him like that? Does she have a throne? No. Does she have command legions of armies to invade a place if need be, or defend their realm? No. She's some woman with a doctorate. And as Turd Fleeing Monkey and the good DDJ have said, a man cannot have sex with a woman's degree. That's just brass tacks. God of Thunder, girl with a doctorate. Those have never stacked up. But anyway, my ending rant and my point is just this. When there's this frenzy, this fomenting, like psychotic, foaming at the mouth frenzy to keep me quiet and to try to disprove my argument so I wouldn't, for some reason, gain ground in their mind, which I still, to this day, haven't figured out. Later on, I happened to be watching, I think it was, I forget who it was. It was just someone doing a retroactive review. And they noted that very strongly, that Thor was, one, the god of thunder, two, that for women in this era, always talking about how men abuse women, that she could outright slap him not once, but twice, without even giving him the ability to explain, or to say, listen, he's got greater superseding priorities, and if he doesn't want to show up to your little dinner, or he doesn't want to call you back, tough cookies. He's a free moral agent. He's a person who can make that decision. And if it hurts your fifis, get over it. When I heard that, I just had to stop the video, and I had a slow clap. I had a slow clap for myself. And so yeah, that's my ending rant. That's my little blurt about this episode of Black Sails. So if anything, I haven't seen the rest of the show. And given this character and given the writing at this hand, I don't intend to, because this would be my natural stopping point. Once again, the minute they introduce a rape scenario into the narrative of any given show, that's where I stop watching. Because, like I said, that's where character development ends. That's where the show starts to die, and it is truly, if it hadn't been before, that's where the agenda of the writers, whoever they are in the group, whether it is several people within the group or the group itself, is taken hold, and it's become an SJW show. And I don't like watching shows like proverbially eating a deer, where someone else, said, oh yeah, I'll present this great deer and I'll cook it and it's going to be delicious. And for the most part, you're like, this is really good. But every second or fifth bite, you encounter buckshot and have to to the point where you have to get a bowl and you have to, spit the buckshot periodically into the bowl. And the bowl's almost at least a quarter filled. Too much buckshot for me. I'll just go to a show where I have less SJW narrative, if not, hopefully, zero. But we're coming to the point where it's going to be so prevalent, in my opinion, that you won't be able to escape it. You'll just have to not watch anything at that point. But we still, at this point, we still have YouTube, which is a saving grace, because we can pontificate, we can exchange ideas without someone telling us we're wrong, simply because we're processing something, and because we're guilty of hate speech and wrong thought and things like that. So anyway, once again, I know this is long. It was going on 20 minutes. I felt the need to rant about this. Hopefully you found the data that I presented helpful as well as useful. I apologize for, my voice. It's been really bad. I hope I don't have to call in sick for work tomorrow. But that's all personal stuff. You guys stay great, stay brilliant, keep kicking the ball around, and I'll see you guys in the next one.